Afghan peace talks have begun in Doha. Afghanistan's government and representatives from the Taliban are meeting in a bid to end nearly 2 decades of war. Now, will it lead to peace in Afghanistan? We'll get you all the updates from the peace talks. We will be joined very shortly by former Indian ambassador to Afghanistan, Vivek Kajju. So stay with us on this broadcast. The US-backed negotiations come 6 months later than planned owing to bitter disagreements over the controversial prisoner swap agreed in February. Abdullah Abdullah, who is the chairman of the High Council for National Reconciliation, has said that their aim is peace and that they wish to end the violence through a political settlement. From the Taliban side, the talks are being led by Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar. Ahead of talks, Baradar said that the talks will pave way on the ground for Afghanistan to be an independent, united and a developed country. The talks come months after the United States of America signed separate but related deals with the Taliban and the Afghan government in February this year. Both the deals paved the way for both the parties involved in Afghanistan to come together on the negotiating table. Political observers say bringing both the opposing parties together is a major victory for US President Donald Trump on the foreign policy front. US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo thanked all the United States' allies for their support in what he called a long struggle to end the war. India is also present at the intra-Afghan talk ceremony. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar joined the ceremony virtually. The ceremony starts the process of negotiations between Afghan government and the Taliban. Around 30 countries, including China, UK, France and Germany, are also part of the ongoing talks. All the countries that share a border with Afghanistan have also been invited. In fact, let's first listen in to what the Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar had to say at the start of this peace process.
His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani and my counterpart, His Excellency Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdurrahman Al Thani, for the invitation to participate at this occasion. I would also like to convey my greetings to the leaders of the negotiation teams, the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan and the Taliban, and to other ministers and senior officials present. India and Afghanistan have a millennia-old relationship which has stood the test of time. Long before current boundaries were drawn and various states created, we shared a deep civilizational tie. Our peoples and the friendship are a testimony to this history. Excellencies, India has been a major development partner of Afghanistan. Infrastructure created by the Indian partnership are spread in every province, be it the Parliament House for the nation, transmission lines and hospitals in Kabul, the Friendship Dam in Herat, the Afghan National Agricultural Science and Technology University in Kandahar. There is no part of Afghanistan today untouched by our 400 million plus projects. Equally impactful has been capacity building projects, scholarships, and training of youth. On the humanitarian front, we have supplied more than 1 million tons of food grains and fortified biscuits in recent years. To address the COVID-19 pandemic challenge, we have provided more than 15 tons of life-saving drugs and medical equipment. We have also facilitated the travel of Afghan citizens to India for medical treatment. Excellencies, these are but examples of our deep commitment to the welfare, prosperity, and stability of the Afghan nation. And today, these are the very objectives that bring us here to discuss peace and reconciliation. Our approach in that regard has always remained consistent. Any peace process must be Afghan-led, Afghan-owned, and Afghan-controlled. It has to respect national sovereignty and territorial integrity of Afghanistan. It should promote the values of human rights and democracy that can foster development. The interests of the minorities, women, and vulnerable must be ensured. And most important, the issue of violence across the country and its neighborhood has to be effectively addressed. The rising levels of violence cannot be allowed to continue, and like others, we support an immediate comprehensive ceasefire. Our friendship with Afghanistan is strong and unshakable. We have always been good neighbors and will always be so. Our expectation is that the soil of Afghanistan should never be used for any anti-India activities. Excellencies, it was a privilege to join you all today. We convey our very best wishes for the success of the intra-Afghan negotiations. May they deliver to the people of Afghanistan what they have longed for, a peaceful and prosperous future in an independent and sovereign nation. Thank you for your attention.
We are now being joined by Vivek Kajju, former Indian ambassador to Afghanistan. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Now, you have a deep understanding of the Afghan political process and India's relationship with Afghanistan. After all, you've been former Indian ambassador to Afghanistan. Now, we just heard Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar speaking, and he nicely articulated what India expects out of this peace process. He says India expects an immediate ceasefire, an end to violence in Afghanistan. And I think that is what the Afghans also want, an immediate end to almost 2 decades of violence. And Afghans have been the ones who have been struggling in this power struggle between the Afghan government and the Taliban. Taliban has simply refused many times to even accept the Afghan government, its legitimacy. What can we expect out of these peace talks? Today is just the start of these peace talks. How long will they last? And what can be the expected end result?
It will be a very long and difficult process, and I don't expect that these peace talks will end anytime soon. There are entrenched positions on both sides, on the Taliban side as well as on the side of the Afghan authorities. The first difficulty, as you correctly pointed out, is that the Taliban do not accept the Afghan authorities. The Afghan government's legitimacy is questioned by them, but there is one fact in this regard which is clear. That is that whereas the Afghans project themselves as cohesive, that is the Kabul authorities, we know that there are deep political differences in Kabul, and therefore during the talks process, Kabul will have to reconcile these differences. On the other hand, the Taliban seem to be more cohesive. I heard your commentary. I'm not quite sure whether Baradar is leading the Afghan side, the Taliban side, because the news reports were indicating a different name. So that is something perhaps you can clarify.
Right.
As far as violence is concerned, of course, I think what Minister Jaishankar has said is correct. Violence must end immediately. Who wants violence not to end?
Absolutely.
But realistically speaking, the continuation of violence is a card that the Taliban have. And the Kabul authorities or the Afghan government would have to decide whether they are willing to live with a degree of violence while these talks continue. Of course, President Ghani has also demanded that violence must end and end immediately. But if it does not end, does it become a breaker for the talks? There, my thought is that what alternative does the Afghan authorities, do the Afghan authorities, but to continue with this process of talks?
Right. So, right, but they have laid the groundwork, isn't it? After America signed a peace deal with the Taliban, Afghan government did honor it. They have released a lot of Talibani prisoners as well. So they have initiated the process of, bringing back peace to the country and the people of Afghanistan. But what does this peace process mean for the Taliban? We all know what Afghanistan was under Taliban rule and the atrocities that Afghan people, especially the women of Afghanistan, had to face under Taliban rule. This peace process is being attended by almost every global major superpower, not just Afghanistan's neighbors, but almost all major powers in the world. Does this peace talks give more legitimacy to Taliban?
Of course it does. The Taliban, who were an international outcast in 2001 and before that, if you recollect, during the time the Taliban were in Kabul between 1996 and 2001, only 3 countries recognized them: Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. The United Nations seat was still held by the government of President Burhanuddin Rabbani. Today, the scene has changed completely. The Taliban have enormous legitimacy in Afghanistan, in the world. They are behaving as if they are the government. They are a cohesive group, and these talks will only enhance their legitimacy.
Absolutely.
The very fact that the Americans were forced to deal with the Taliban, to have a deal, to talks and finally have a deal on February 29th, itself showed the strength of the Taliban. The American talks legitimized them completely. They've been welcomed in Russia. And the rest of the world. The Chinese have welcomed them. So the question of their international legitimacy does not arise. The only thing is that most countries do not like the ideology of the Taliban or the values of the Taliban. And you are right. As External Affairs Minister Jaishankar said, the international community would like a forward-looking Afghanistan, a prosperous Afghanistan, a democratic Afghanistan.
Absolutely. The next question is, do you expect Taliban to participate in the democratic process? Do you expect Taliban to participate in elections?
Well, the first thing is that what will be the nature of the political order in Afghanistan will be one of the major points of discussions. Let's see. There is the question of ceasefire. That means the violence aspect. There is the question of, in the process, do the Taliban start participating in the government of Afghanistan? And then there is the question of what will be the constitutional structure of Afghanistan.
Right.
As far as the Kabul people are concerned, quite clearly, they would like fully to preserve the gains that they have made over the last 2 decades. They would also like to preserve the essential elements of the constitution of the Islamic Republic. On the other hand, the Taliban, as you know, call themselves the Islamic Emirate, because that is what they called themselves at the time when they controlled most of Afghanistan.
Absolutely.
And they will fight very hard to retain some, if not a lot of elements of their thinking and their ideology. So the process of reconciliation of these 2 very different views of Afghanistan's constitutional future will not be easy. It will be a major stumbling block. I foresee enormous difficulties in the reconciliation. However, there is one fact. Realism demands that we recognize that, one, the Afghan people want peace.
Absolutely.
So they will push both sides. They will push both sides to come to some kind of a compromise. And second, the fact is that the Taliban control a great deal of the territory of Afghanistan. So they derive these strengths. And lastly, my own impression is that Afghans of all hues are a very independent people. They don't like being controlled from outside. And therefore, even though some of the neighbors of Afghanistan would like to, try to influence this process and might succeed to an extent, at the end of the day, I think it will be the Afghans themselves who will try to work out something. And that will not be easy, because let us not forget that Afghanistan has been in turmoil, to my mind, since the mid-1970s.
Absolutely.
So we are talking of 45 years of turmoil. Afghanistan, I'll just add one sentence. During these 45 years, Afghanistan has gone through communist rule, through Mujahideen rule, through Taliban rule, and now what has been happening for the last 20 years. So reconciling all these contradictions of these 45 years, not only 20 years, is not going to be an easy ask at all.
Right, sir. So, like you mentioned, a lot of countries around the world have a stake in Afghanistan. India, too, does have a stake in Afghanistan. India has been one of Afghanistan's major development partners and has walked shoulder to shoulder with the people of Afghanistan as they strive for peace. What can India expect to gain out of these discussions, and what will be the ideal solution for India as far as these peace talks are concerned?
Let me begin by saying that there have been surveys conducted in Afghanistan which show that the Indian assistance program has always been the most popular of all assistance programs throughout from any development partner of Afghanistan. And perhaps your listeners might find the reason for this interesting. It is because India has never imposed its own thinking on how Afghanistan should develop.
Right.
It has left this to Afghans themselves. All the projects, some of the major projects which have been there in Afghanistan was started right at the beginning, which means from 2002. And at that time, I was the ambassador, so I can give you a personal reference here.
Right, sir.
The strategy was that we will not suggest anything to Afghanistan. It is for the Afghan government and its authorities to suggest where they wanted assistance, and we will assist them, and that's worked wonderfully. We were not prescriptive. Second, we would want very much a democratic Afghanistan, a progressive Afghanistan, etc. But at the end of the day, we'll have to be realistic enough to realize that whatever emerges from this process is for the Afghans to decide, and we've said this ourselves. Minister Jaishankar said it has to be Afghan-owned, and
Right.
that means an Afghan-led. And finally, I think through all this, I'm convinced that anyone who comes into government in Afghanistan, whatever shape and form it takes, after some time would always realizes the importance of the Indian partnership.
Absolutely.
And that will be so even with the coming dispensation, because
Right.
there will be a new dispensation. And I'm happy that Minister Jaishankar extended his greetings to the leader of the Taliban delegation today in his opening remarks, because the Taliban are a reality. And
Right,
I,
sir.
for one, believe that the time has been long. For a long time, I've been advocating that we should talk to the Taliban. And after the start of these negotiations, I think that should be done very, very quickly.
Right, sir. So thank you so much for joining us for your insight, Vivek Kaju, former Indian ambassador to Afghanistan. And like you mentioned, it's going to be a long, rocky road ahead. But for the people of Afghanistan, for peace in the region, let's hope that the Afghan government